For the last couple dungeon streams, some people have been asking me what mods I use, and I simply say just Badlion, because they have a lot of Skyblock mods, and in this video I'm going to tell you which ones are useful and which ones are not useful. So when you enter the menu, there's like quite a lot of stuff here, but I'm just going to go through it one by one. So first you have the auctions / bazaar. So this auction house thing is actually really useful. So I've set this to I, you can set this to like whatever you want. I just set it to I because whatever. And if you click that hotkey, then it sort of brings you up to this menu. And this is also pretty useful because I think you can use it in dungeons as well. So yeah, you can just like see, oh, I want to buy that, or let's say I want to get a baby Yeti, and I can just go, yeah, this one, and then just buy it straight off. Obviously I can't buy it because I don't have 41 mil on me, but yeah, you get the point. The next thing, Bazaar helper, suggestions, and price info. So what helper does, actually I want to turn these off. So what helper does is, I think that it's pretty useless, honestly. It just tells you like if it's outdated or if the item you're flipping is good. So I don't think you should really bother about that. But if you are Bazaar flipping, then Bazaar suggestions is good, because when you open up Bazaar, it gives you like a list of like all the good flips going on at the same time. So yeah, that's the thing. And the last thing, this price info. This is also quite useful because if you're like somewhere else, you can like, let's say lever here, you can see that you can see like the insta sell, insta buy, and also this NPC sell price. Moving on to the combat section. So these are mostly just quality of life stuff. So the bow charge from resetting, I guess you can turn it on if you want. Skeleton and hammer bones are sort of the same thing. There's no harm not turning it on. Same with this. I would recommend turning this on, because if you're doing spider slayers, then you want to NPC sell your toxic arrow poison instead of using it, because it's kind of useless. Show sword kills, you can turn this on if you want. It doesn't really make much difference. Hide non-crits. I personally wouldn't have this on, but it's up to you. And format damage, I would do this because it does like give you a better perspective of how much damage you're doing. So the dungeons tab is potentially quite useful. The glowing dungeon teammates is not really that useful, but you can use if you want. Real livid tracker is quite useful when you're doing livid. If you're like a hype mage and you just spam in the ground, it doesn't really matter, but you know, it's quite useful. This is also quite useful. This is very good because you can just click a key and then just reparty to a thing, which is good for dungeons. Auto accept reparty invites, I would also turn this on. Disable more on dungeon boss messages is okay-ish, doesn't matter. Item dungeon floor, it's quite useful when you're buying dungeon gear. So like when I go to the auction house, so I can just see, let's say I'm looking to buy this zombie like chestplate. I can see that this is obtained on floor 7, so it's probably like quite a decent buy. Now, healing cycle overlay is also, I mean, every play healer, come on. Critical dungeon teammates, and this is all sort of healer stuff, and this I guess is useful. Death counter is actually quite useful, in fairness. And the party finder, member stats, party finder info, and this is also useful as well. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention. The dungeon block colors is also quite good if you want to like highlight the key stuff in dungeons, like cracked walls, bats, tripwires, and trap chests and stuff like that. For the enchant colors, it's all sort of like quality of life features. We're replacing Roman numerals essentially, so usually you would have like ultimate wise V, which is 5 in Roman numerals, but then it just says 5, which is a lot easier for most people to read. Item and uses, I find this completely pointless. I wouldn't bother using the high grade enchant either. The organizing long enchantment list is again, not really useful at all, but no harm to have it on. And the custom enchant colors can be nice if you want to see like if a weapon or armor has got good enchants or not. Otherwise, it's not that useful. In the events tab, this is all just like for like Diana's event, and for me, like the mythological ritual, the waypoints are really buggy, so I usually don't even bother to use these. But I mean, if it works for people, then yeah, go ahead and use it. Just try and see what works. Fairy Soul tab is really easy to understand. If you just click this, then all these waypoints will show up, and whenever you want to like reset your obtained Fairy Souls, then you can. In fishing, I would say that almost all of these, if you're like an avid fisher, then I would actually just enable all of these. These are all pretty useful. Like the expertise kills, that's pretty good. Bait list lets you know how much bait you have. Legendary sea creature warning, good as well. Fishing sun indicator, like if you're just mindlessly doing it and you've been fishing for a long time and you're tired, then yeah, go ahead. And yeah, it's just fishing is just ultimately, it's quite a good tab to have. Moving on to the HUD section, these are all quality of life features, so likelihood is that none of these are actually going to be particularly useful, like particularly essential, but like they just all make your game better. You can sort of just go through them yourself. Like Legion, play counter, like it's mostly quite self-explanatory. All of this stuff as well. The items inventories tab is again mostly quality of life features. Backpack preview can be useful, and also the inventory colors. However, there are a couple of things which I would say are very important. Prevent selling and dropping rare items can be good. Hotbar drop confirmation, you can turn it off, but I like to have it because I've salvaged delivered in the past. And locking inventory slots is also very good.